So welcome back, listeners, to the first episode of second season of the ADS Profit Show. We are back after around. I think I released my last episode in November. So and today is I think 1st June as of the releasing date of this episode. And I thought this would be a nice day to release this and start this new journey because as it's the Pride month. So I thought why not start today and तो पहले मेरे को एक चीज़ पूछनी है गौतम प्रफल अगर if you like to like introduce yourself listeners के हमने वैसे ट्रेलर में तो किया है.
Oh yes, absolutely. Hi, I'm Gautam and I'm 24 years old and I live in Rishikesh. I have pursued my bachelor's in technology, pursued a job for 6 months, and now I'm basically employed by my father. I work with my dad. And I came out to my family as gay in February this year. Okay. And surprisingly, they were very supportive. So I thought, why not go ahead? It's always been kind of not a dream, I would say, but kind of I've always been passionate about doing something, giving back to the community, because I feel like there's still a lot of stigma that we need to resolve, and there's just so much more that needs to be done for the community. And I being a part of the community, it becomes all the more important to me, and it becomes my duty to do something so that I can give back to the community. So that's why I thought that this podcast would be a great way to impart knowledge, educate people about stuff, and resolve the stigma.
Okay, great. So first thing which I wanted to ask, as a person who is not much aware of the whole movement and the community, what is Pride Month about? This should be the first question, or should I take a step back and should we talk about what is gender, what is sex, what is gender assigned at birth?
Let's come back to that, and when I've answered your first question. So Pride Month is basically a celebration of all the hard work that has been put in to get to a place where at least there is a place for us in the society, because if you look back to the 70s and 80s and even in the Western countries, even though the Western countries seem to be more liberal, but it has taken a lot of time for us to be okay, for queer people to be accepted. And we are still a long way away from complete acceptance. But, Pride Month, what it does is basically it celebrates the queer liberation movement and where we have reached today. So it's kind of a Western concept, the queer, celebrating the queer month and everything, because June specifically has quite a lot of importance for the Western queer liberation movement. So this is not an Indian concept it's the June being accepted as a Pride Month is not an Indian concept, but it's celebrated worldwide because, to be honest, the queer liberation movement actually started in the West. So that's why we consider June to be the Pride Month.
Okay. So, ये मूवमेंट तो ये अगर हम इसके अच्छा ठीक है, अगर हम आगे के एपिसोड्स में we can discuss more about going into the specifics of the more thing, because I think we will be releasing more episodes in June and not.
Yeah.
So coming back to the question which I had initially, so a lot of our listeners might not be aware about the whole difference between gender, sex, and the gender that you have been assigned at birth, and there are a lot of connotations and a lot of aspects attached to it. So how do you want to introduce that thing to the listeners who might not be aware about this?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think this is the right place to begin the whole conversation with, because to understand the whole concept of sexuality and orientation, we first need to make aware to anybody who's new to this concept. We need to tell them to differentiate between what is sex and what is gender. So what you're assigned at birth biologically, looking at your reproductive organs, you're assigned a gender at birth, which is known as your sex. So sex has everything to do with your biological organs and your chromosomes. So basically, as you know, basic biology goes, when somebody has an XX chromosome, they're biologically female, and when somebody has an XY chromosome, sex chromosome, out of all the pairs of chromosome that human body has, then you're termed a male. Like that's your sex, right? But when we talk about gender is actually a spectrum. So it's not black and white. Like it's not either male or female. Like male and female are two ends of the spectrum, and there is many millions of ways that one can express oneself, right? So when I say express oneself, so basically gender contains of two terms. One is your gender identity and one is your gender expression. So by gender identity, I mean what do you feel inside, right? I have notes, तो मैं उसी में से पढ़ के बोलता हूँ. Yeah, so
okay, so I wanted to like have add like a disclaimer or maybe like ask you, ये जो I read somewhere, I heard somewhere that this X thing and XY thing is not like completely correct. The biological chromosomes and all, I think there are certain other aspects attached to it, and there are some other biological genes or chromosomes, the aspects of that to it. So that conversation could be obviously some medical experts could join in and maybe correct us or maybe correct if we are are incorrect in this situation.
No,
if you are correct, then
there is
fine.
There is actually a third sex which is termed as intersex. So you can either be assigned male, female, or intersex at birth, right? So intersex people are people who happen to have a mix of both the gonads because of some complications in the fertility process when an embryo is fertilized by a sperm. There's a lot of things that go into that, like a lot of biology that goes into that. So because of some complications, what happens is these chromosomes happen to mix up sometimes and end up becoming something that is neither completely XX nor completely XY. So
that maybe essentially the
with.
10th standard biology or the 9th standard biology you have studied doesn't have like all the connotations attached to it, like all the aspects were not present in that particular chapter about sex and reproduction and all.
Absolutely. And
maybe.
I think, yeah, even though the menial amount of sex education that we study in Indian schools is not completely representative, you know, so because you must have never, I remember there was this small section in the NCERT which mentioned about a mix of gonads, but it didn't necessarily term it correctly. Like they don't term it as intersex in the textbooks, right? So obviously, yes, our textbooks, Indian textbooks especially, they are quite regressive in that terms, you know, because all of our sex education that we receive from school is from standard 8th, 10th and 12th. The 12th is only if you take biology in 12th, right? But other than that, everything that we know about sex, about reproduction and stuff like that is only because of that one chapter in class 8th and that one chapter in class 10th. And even
which is often skipped by teacher because of in lot of schools and classes it is skipped by teachers.
Yeah, I mean,
or
yes,
not just not taken seriously.
Yeah, I do remember my teacher telling me about how flowers reproduce, but how humans reproduce somehow, you know, tend to be a topic that teachers seem to avoid because that sounds more like reproduction in flowers sounds more natural than reproduction in humans for some reason to teachers.
I remember it was about pollination, cross-pollination.
Yeah, asexual reproduction with how roses can reproduce by stemming, grass, how that reproduces. I mean, amoeba for fucking sake.
Yeah,
but humans.
Yes, that whole part about is asexual reproduction. I think that was also fine.
Yeah.
Unless it should be like talking about our species should be a little more comprehensive.
Yeah, not primitive unicellular organisms.
It should be as comprehensive as the other. I think it is in senior classes since we haven't studied it. because we didn't took I didn't take biology in
that,
class
yeah.
11th, 12th. So we didn't study much about it.
Mm-hmm.
Our whole knowledge is predominantly based through what we get to know from the internet or from our friends or whatever.
And from
Or the
Pornhub.
doctors. Yeah, that is not even like that is a topic maybe for some other day.
Some other day, yeah.
So yeah, you were referring to your notes about something.
Yeah, so I was just telling you that gender consists of two things. One is your gender identity and one is your gender expression. So what gender identity means is one's innermost concept of self as male, female, or a blend of both. All right. So you can what you feel about yourself, like when you look in the mirror, or that's like a physical analog of what I mean by saying that. But like what you feel, how do you define yourself? How do you feel comfortable defining yourself? Right? So it can be a male, a female, or a blend of both. How individuals perceive themselves basically, and what they call themselves. And while gender expression means your external appearance, like one's gender, I mean usually expressed through behavior and clothing, haircut, voice, and which may or may not conform to socially defined behaviors and characteristics typically associated with being either masculine or feminine. Like, how you express yourself. For example, I like to wear nail polish, but the society has prescribed a particular kind of a behavior for masculine people, and for some reason by default males have always been asked to be masculine and females have always been asked to be feminine. But then, I mean, I'm pretty sure that looking back at your own friends from school, you must have pretty much come across people who do not really fit into these ideas of the society, right? Like, you must have seen somebody, some of your classmate or somebody around you who was male, like appearance-wise, but the way they used to express themselves and the way they used to behave was, how to say, stereotypically feminine, right? Or you can place some female in your life who used to be who used to behave a little bit masculine, like who used to have like short hair and talk about manly stuff, stereotypically manly
Maybe
stuff.
some people used to call maybe these kind of characteristics a tomboy or something.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so these people, and I'm pretty sure I mean, looking at the other side of the spectrum, you could place a guy who used to be effeminate and who used to be bully all the time. I'm pretty sure you must have somebody like that from school, right? So now these people, how they basically go against the society is because the society expects you to be masculine if you're male. As in, that means that if your sex is male, that means your biological assigned gender at birth is male, then you have to be masculine. And if your assigned gender at birth is female, then you have to be feminine. That's what the society expects of you, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure that my parents aren't happy about me putting on nail polish, having so many piercings, and wearing gender neutral clothing, because I like to dress up like that. I mean, I am flashy like that. But that's how I want to express myself. So I don't want to put a label on that. I don't want to, I do identify as a male, a cisgendered male. But then again, my gender expression is something completely different. Expression is all about how the society and how you perceive yourself, how you express yourself through clothing or your behavior. So it's mostly behavioral. But gender identity is how you define yourself, how you're, what's your innermost concept of your gender. So that is male for me, but the way I express myself is borderline, feminine, through the clothes that I wear, through the accessories that I wear, and I mean, if you see me around my
okay,
gay friends,
I got it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to I was also thinking about this while reading up about all this. So one question came upon I had like a question and I wanted to, because since we're talking about this, since a lot of characteristics and a lot of what do you say, characteristics defines it, like maybe wearing a sari or piercing, as you said, or piercing at piercing at different locations, like nose, having a nose ring, having a multiple ear piercings and whatnot. A lot of these characteristics have been defined or defined by the society towards a particular gender at some particular stage, or which also had some what do you say, capitalistic motives and some other kind of motives as well. Since that has been assigned to the society,
Yeah.
and a lot of people while growing up are surrounded with these kind of characteristics and these types of stereotypes,
Yeah.
I would say. So they believe that this is what these particular genders or these particular genders do while associating, and sometimes they associate with them while growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since you talked about gender expression, and
Yeah.
since a lot of these concepts have been defined or have been assigned by the society towards a particular gender, and since a lot of people grow up using through the society's conditioning and through the conditioning of the society based on these stereotypes, where does this association come from? And a lot of the times, I sometimes I can't like understand that. I will explain it through an example. A girl or maybe a boy likes to saw her mother wearing sari every days when she was growing up. She liked, but she also she associated her mother wearing a sari as a form of expression, or as a form of gender's expression, of that a woman has to wear a sari to be called a woman. While growing up, she identified or associated or liked associated herself as a woman, and had showed signs of that while growing up, like she walked around the house wearing her mom's sari, and later transitioned into as a woman as well. Now, where does this association of a particular characteristic come from? Like, am I making sense here?
You are actually absolutely. You're making absolute sense. I say, actually, you've kind of answered your own question, because the way we tend to associate things to other entities is how the visual aid works, how our senses work, what we perceive, the stimulus that we create. And I mean, if I had seen my father in sari growing up, I would think that it was normal for a man to wear sari, right? And I want to first begin with something that you initially mentioned. Like you said that these big corporations, they've, for example, when you mentioned that nose rings and everything, for capitalistic purposes or whatever, females, whenever you see a jewelry ad, you don't really see a man endorsing a jewelry brand, right? You see a woman endorsing jewelry brand because, well, that's the majority of their customer base, that they are female, so why not put a female in the advertisement? Similarly, if you see the whole concept of pink and blue, who decided that pink is the color of a female and blue is the color of males? Like, in gender reveal parties, people have gender reveal parties are totally. I think we should talk about it in some episode or something. It's an interesting topic, right? But I mean, they either have pink for girls or blue for boys, and that is okay, because we're talking about the sex that is assigned at birth, so that is completely fine. I mean, as the child grows up. But who decided that blue is for boys and pink is for girl? I think it has to be the corporations who saw a motive in selling colors, associating it with something so innate to every human body that people are drawn towards it. Now there is a whole furniture line from a lot of furniture companies, big brands, that are all pink for baby rooms. When people are deciding a nursery for a baby in their own apartment or their own houses, they come to know the sex. I mean, revealing sex of an unborn child is illegal in India, but in Western countries it's pretty much legal. So as soon as they get to know the sex of the child that's still in the womb, they start, planning their baby's house, baby's room, and if it's a male, they paint it blue. There is a whole furniture line that's blue for males and pink for females, and that is what we perceive. We tend to normalize things that we have perceived. I mean, I'll take a very exaggerated example, and every time I talk to somebody who does not really have a lot of background in gender studies or understands about these simple differentiation between sex and gender, I always tend to give them this example that, have you ever seen an alien? You haven't, right? And if one fine day you come across one, you'll obviously be taken aback. You'll be surprised that, I have never seen anything like this exist before, but now suddenly I am, exposed to something which was only a concept, which was only a hypothesis before this day, right? And so, had I seen my father in a sari growing up, it would have been completely normal for me, right? Had I seen my father wearing jewelry, it would have been completely fine for me. Or people around me, not just my father, I mean, the society doing stuff like that, it would have been completely okay for me, right? And in fact, the journey that I've had towards self-acceptance would not have been that hard, because I used to curse myself for having an attraction towards the same gender, and I used to curse myself for being interested in feminine stuff. I used to curse myself for not being sporty enough or not being interested in sports, while my father always had expectations of me being a sportsman, because he used to be a sportsman in his time. He never forced me, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I used to curse myself. So I think that pretty much answers your question about what decides it. I think it's years and years of following a similar constitution, right? If you look at many of the religions, I'm not going to name any particular religion right here because that becomes really controversial. But a lot of religions, I think most religions, they're quite restrictive, and they have defined roles for males and females, and gender as a fluid spectrum is not a concept that is very much seen by religion, right? And I mean, believe it or not, religion has been a huge influence in building a society, any society. Indian society, Asian societies, Western societies, every society is built upon the core values that are given by a particular religion that is, well, abundant in that particular area. So I think it's just somebody started something, everybody around them started following that, and everybody who did something else, something alien that was not known to the society, started being perceived as demonic or deviated or somehow not acceptable. So I feel like it's just how can I give you an example? Let me think about it to make it simpler for listeners to understand.
So what I understand is that boy liking to wear a sari after seeing her mother wear a sari is not just about liking how she looks in a sari. It's a step beyond that, where she is associating herself as a woman by wearing a sari.
Is the child male or female in this scenario?
The male child is a male.
All right.
He's a boy.
Yeah.
He saw her mother wearing a sari while growing up.
Yeah.
Was seen in a sari quite sometimes. So I'm just saying that him wearing a sari was him not just liking to wear it or just a childish act, but an expression of feeling like a woman because of the assigned characteristics and stereotypes towards a particular gender. Like, that was the expression. This is what I could make of it.
I could say that this can be partially correct, because a lot of people might think like that, and these people are actually termed as transgenders. Not exactly per se, the scenario that you just mentioned can never completely define what transgender,
obviously.
what being transgender
Obviously.
means. But I think it can be a part of that. Like if I talk about myself personally, I like to wear feminine clothing. I like to wear accessories and nail paints just because I like how it feels on me. So it doesn't necessarily come from a place where I want to feel like a woman or associate myself with a particular societal role of a woman. But it comes from the fact that I like the bling, I like the shine, I like stuff that is beyond masculine and feminine and is somewhere between that. So for example, I have a very masculine figure. I am 6 feet tall and I have broad shoulders and everything, and I still don't walk away from wearing feminine clothing because I feel good in it. Like I like to wear crop tops, and I like to wear I already mentioned it quite a couple of times. So it doesn't come from a place where I want to embody a woman. It just I identify as a male. But yes, I understand where you're coming from, and I can vouch for a part of the community that does feel like that and wants to when they see women around them, they want to feel like them. And it reaches a point where it becomes uncomfortable for somebody to be in their own skin, to be in their own gender that they were assigned at birth. For example, if I was assigned male at birth, and now when I look around myself, I associate myself with the other gender more. It's somewhere, it feels like my soul doesn't fit inside the body that I was given biologically. That's where the concept of being a transgender comes in. So when somebody is not comfortable in their own body, if somebody's there's actually a psychological term, I would say. So there is actually a clinical term for this. It's called gender dysphoria. So when somebody it means clinically significant distress caused when a person's assigned birth gender is not the same as the one with which they identify. So I identify as a female, but I was assigned male at birth. So that means I am a transgender female. So I want to embody a female. I mostly associate with conventionally feminine stuff. And I also feel like my body doesn't feel right. I don't feel right in my own body. I'm not happy with the genitals that I have. Although that's not completely it. A lot of transgender people go through with the gender... what is that called?
Sex reassignation.
Yes. Sex
therapy.
Yes.
Or treatment
surgeries.
operation.
Yes. So a lot of people do go ahead and get their sexes changed and get their sexes reassigned because they're completely uncomfortable with their own genitals and they don't feel right in their own bodies. So these people are called transgenders. But that's not actually all about it. Like when if, for example, a male kid looking at his mother being dressed in a sari and wanting to wear that sari can have a million different meanings. Just it isn't specific to just the fact that he wants to embody his mom, right? So there can be like n number of reasons why he feels that kind of an attraction or wants to embody that. So yeah, I hope it answers your question.
Yeah, I understand. So basically, somewhere or the other, this movement is also about disassociating stereotypes from their gender roles.
Absolutely.
From what they have been assigned to a particular gender, as you mentioned about nose piercings or wearing feminine clothing or whatnot. There can be a million examples about it.
Yeah, it's actually about breaking the system, CISTEM, not system, SYSTEM, the system. So like you know what is the difference between cis and trans people? So trans people, I told you. Like, do you remember the you had chemistry in 11th and 12th, right? So you have studied about cis and trans properties of double bonded carbon atoms, right? So in cis atoms, what used to happen was both the substitutes were on the same side, while in trans elements they were like on the opposite side. So trans people actually are people who were assigned something at birth, but they align with something else, right? And cis people are like on the same side. They were assigned male at birth, for example, and now they also identify. For example, me, I was assigned male at birth, and I also identify as a male. So I am a cis male, right? So that's actually how it works. So it's about, the whole thing is about destroying the system, destroying societal expectations, and making it okay for people to just be and make their own choices, and not be afraid of making those choices, not be ashamed of making those choices. And I actually wrote an article about it, and I on Instagram actually I blogged about it, and I said that, you know, I like blingy stuff, I like wearing nail polish and earrings and stuff like that, feminine stuff. So in the end, at the end of that article, I wrote that I don't want to gender my choices, and I live by that. Like, if you expect me to not wear it, that's your problem. Like, that's not my problem. If I like something, I'll do it. I don't want to gender my choice. I don't want to tell myself that, you know, this step or this decision that you're going to make is not predominantly masculine, and it will be perceived badly by the society. So I don't want to stop myself from taking that decision just because the society expects me to. And that's actually all about it. The gist of it, basically, destroying societal norms, which are restrictive and don't allow people to be themselves, their truest forms. Yeah.
And okay, so now we have discussed about gender. I think it's quite extensive.
Yeah.
What about the other part, the sexual
Orientation.
identity and that, and orientation, identity and orientation?
So sexuality is basically, I think if I have to place a difference, I can just say that sexuality is all about who you want to go to bed with, and gender is about who you go to bed as. That's the basic difference. So while you decide who you are romantically or sexually attracted in, that's where sexuality comes in, right? So sexuality is again a spectrum. You can place yourself anywhere on the spectrum. Straight and gay are the two ends of the spectrum. You can be anywhere between that, or you can be a superset or a subset of that, right? So it's not that,
Or maybe not at all.
or maybe not at all. Absolutely. Like any subset or superset of these two ends of the spectrum is what sexuality is. So I identify as a homosexual, which means I am attracted towards the same gender that I identify as. So I am male and I'm attracted towards males. So I am a homosexual. A heterosexual is a person who's attracted towards the opposite gender, like the two ends of the spectrum, male and female. So if somebody's male and they're attracted towards females, or somebody's female attracted towards males, then they're heterosexuals. Then there are lesbians, gays, queer people. So queer is actually an umbrella term. If you don't know how to define yourself, or even if you know how to define yourself, but you don't want to label exactly what you mean, queer is an umbrella term. It basically encircles every sexuality that there is, right? So if I want to say that I am, I'm pretty sure you've come across this very famous dating lingo, which is sapiosexual, demisexual, and etc., right? So these are also actually sexualities. That's a way how you define who you're attracted towards.
So being attracted towards somebody's personality traits, or maybe how they are, also defines sexuality to some extent.
Absolutely, it does, because these are all parts of how we define ourselves, right? These are like small parts. First, you decided that, okay, I am a homosexual because I'm attracted towards the same gender. But now you're attracted towards the same gendered person who also has an intellect. So like these are all small parts of our sexualities, of how we define our own sexuality. So like when I say that I am a homosexual, and I am that means that I'm attracted towards the same gender. But now I'm attracted towards a person of the same gender who I also have an emotional bond with. That is known as demisexual. And for example, if I am attracted towards the same gender, and but now I'm also like going further ahead, I'm adding another criteria over there, that I'm attracted towards a person of the same gender who has an intellect. That means I am, drawn towards their intellectual side. That means I am a sapiosexual. So sapiosexual, demisexual, and a million of other terms are all used to define one's own sexuality, of who they're attracted towards, who they want to be romantic towards, who they want to be sexual towards, who they want to go to bed with. But who they want to go to bed as is their gender identity, their gender expression. So
and to what extent are both of these related, or are they independent of each other?
They're pretty much independent of each other. Like if there were two sets, then there would be n by n matches of it. I don't know if a lot of our listeners are going to know this, because I don't know if people have read about
this is
set
important
study.
to talk about. People have somewhere like associated both the terms with each other. Oh, okay.
And I'm making gender and sex as two sets.
So dumb it down to
in layman terms,
kid,
yes.
For maybe a kid for 7th standard, 8th standard, 6th standard.
Yeah, so like in layman terms, yes, they're pretty much as in they're absolutely independent of each other, and gender is all about your behavior and your own understanding of your own body and your own physical traits and behavioral traits, while sexuality is all about who you're attracted towards. So that has nothing to do with the fact that cut that. Yeah, I've actually just said everything about that. I don't want to add anything there.
Okay. So I think we have pretty much covered that whole thing. So now bringing in a little bit of legal perspective.
Yes.
About what the identities and what these are. So, without going into much detail and making it boring, I would just, India considers people, but I will just, I would also like to open a little bit of note, which I have prepared.
Yes. Notes are important.
Yes,
you cannot be wrong on a social platform.
Yes, wait, I'll just open it. So, India recently passed this act called the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 2019. So it defines a transgender person as a person whose gender does not match with the gender assigned to that person at birth, and includes trans man or trans woman, whether or not such person has undergone sex reassignment surgery or hormone therapy or laser therapy or any other therapy. It doesn't matter. And a person with intersex variations, genderqueer, pardon my pronunciation, person having socio-cultural identities as Skinner, Hijra, Ramani and Jokta, all of them are included as a transgender person for the purposes of this act. Now, I would give a little bit of context to this. It basically uses this term called intersex variation. So they have also defined intersex variation, I think somewhere. I think I read it somewhere. No, I think they haven't. But to basically sum up what the definition is. So definition is a very inclusive definition. So for law, there are two types of definitions. One is an inclusive, or one is an exclusive. So when you have an exclusive definition, you point out which things are not there. Sorry. You limit which things are there, and you don't allow any other aspect to be included in that. In an inclusive definitions, you tell the person what is inside, or what you are defining, and what can be included in it. So now by reading the terms, we can understand कि इन्होंने include किया है कि पहले तो उन्होंने बता दिया कि वो सब लोग जो जिनका जेंडर मैच नहीं करता, और वो लोग भी हैं जो ट्रांस मैन है, ट्रांस वुमेन है, जिन्होंने थेरेपी नहीं कराई, कोई भी वो मैटर नहीं करता, कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट्स वाले जो लोग आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं वो भी इंक्लूड होंगे, जो क्वेयर है वो भी इंक्लूड होंगे, इंटरसेक्स वेरिएशंस है वो भी इंक्लूड होंगे. तो इससे हमें एक लेजिस्लेटिव इंटेंट पता चलता है कि जो लॉ बना रहा था उसको ये बताना था कि हम इसको लिमिट नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम चाहते हैं कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा जो लोग हैं वो इसके अंदर डेफिनेशन के अंदर आ सके. वाइल हम इस एक्ट का क्रिटिसिज्म या इसकी जो प्रॉब्लम्स है वो भी डिस्कस नहीं करेंगे, बट टू सम एक्सटेंट ये एक्ट कई चीज़ें कई तरह के प्रोटेक्शन प्रोवाइड करता है. इसमें से कुछ प्रोटेक्शन इंक्लूड करते हैं कि आप डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं कर सकते, आप किसी भी तरीके का डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं कर सकते फॉर एट वर्क प्लेस, फॉर प्रोवाइडिंग हेल्थ सर्विसेज, फॉर प्रोवाइडिंग एनी काइंड ऑफ थिंग. प्लस देयर इज ऑल्सो a punishment of 2 years for any kind of crime committed against them also. So this particular section has a lot of criticism कि सिर्फ 2 साल की punishment है. बट सिर्फ ये नहीं है, इसमें एक और भी सेक्शन है जो बोलता है कि ये किसी और पर्टिकुलर एक्ट को अवॉइड नहीं करता है. तो चलो मैं थोड़ा सा एक छोटा सा एक एग्जाम्पल लेता हूँ, एक लीगल कॉन्सेप्ट बताता हूँ.
नालसा 14
मैंने शायद पहले भी बताया था. क्या
Are you going to talk about NALSA 2014?
उसी जजमेंट के बाद से ये वाली एक्ट आया. 2014 में जो जजमेंट आई थी नेशनल वो लीगल सर्विसेज अथॉरिटी वाली, उसके तब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इनको रिकग्नाइज किया था एज अ थर्ड जेंडर. उसके बाद एक प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल आया था जो पार्लियामेंट में पास हुआ था, लेकिन प्रेसिडेंट साइन नहीं हुआ था. फिर प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल को हटाने के लिए फिर गवर्नमेंट डिसॉल्व हुई. फिर गवर्नमेंट ने खुद से ये अपना एक बिल इंट्रोड्यूस किया. वो सिलेक्ट कमेटी में गई. सिलेक्ट कमेटी में जाने के बाद 2018 में अपने 2019 में लोकसभा इलेक्शन थे, 2018 में गवर्नमेंट डिसॉल्व हो गई. तो ये वाला बिल वहाँ अटक गया था सिलेक्ट कमेटी में. फिर सिलेक्ट कमेटी के रिकमेंडेशंस के बाद 2019 में ये वाला बिल फिर से आया और इसको पास किया गया. अब इसके कई क्रिटिसिजम्स हैं, वो हम बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे. बट बेसिकली इसमें ये वाली चीज़ इसमें ये है कि अगर एक भी ये दे रखा है कि कोई भी जो और एक्ट है, जैसे इसमें एक सेक्शन है जो मैं 2 साल पहले की बात कर रहा हूँ. इसमें ये बोलता है कि कोई भी अगर ऐसा कोई चीज़ होती है या कोई पर्टिकुलर वायलेंस या सेक्सुअल वायलेंस होता है किसी के भी अगेंस्ट फॉर बीइंग ट्रांसजेंडर, तो उसको 2 साल तक की सज़ा हो सकती है. तो कई लोग बोलते हैं कि 2 साल की सज़ा बहुत कम है उस चीज़ के लिए. बट इसमें एक और भी सेक्शन है जो ये बोलता है कि सिर्फ 2 साल की सज़ा नहीं होगी, क्योंकि ये एक्ट आइसोलेशन में अप्लाई नहीं होगा, और जो आईपीसी के सेक्शन होते हैं और जो क्रिमिनल लॉ होता है वो भी अप्लाई होगा, तो उनके साथ भी ये अप्लाई होगा. तो ये आइसोलेशन में ये किसी भी एक्ट के अगेंस्ट या उसको हटा के नहीं होगा, ये होगा. क्योंकि लॉ में एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता है कि जहाँ पे आपका स्पेसिफिक लॉ आता है वो अप्लाई होगा. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट मी गो अवे फ्रॉम दिस एंड टेक इट विद अनदर एग्जाम्पल. कोई अगर फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर हम कैसे समझाएं इसको, लेते हैं चलो हम somebody posting some women's nude photos or videos on the internet without a permission. ठीक है, यहाँ पे क्योंकि एक इंटरनेट का इन्वॉल्वमेंट है और क्योंकि इंटरनेट पे आ रहा है, तो इसमें हम ये बोल सकते हैं कई हद तक कि इसमें जो आईटी एक्ट के सेक्शंस हैं वो लगेंगे, क्योंकि ये ओवर दी इंटरनेट हो रहा है. अब हालांकि कई लोग ये भी आर्ग्यू करते हैं कि इसमें इंडिसेंट रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ वुमेन भी है, बट क्योंकि ये एक स्पेसिफिक लॉ इसी चीज़ के लिए बनाया गया है जो ये उसमें बोलता है सेक्शन 66E एक तरीके से एक है, जैसे मैंने पहले के एपिसोड्स में भी बताया था. वो ये बोलता है कि व्हेन यू अपलोड पिक्चर्स ऑफ सम वुमेन और सम नॉट सम वुमेन बट एनीबडी which has their private parts without the permission on the internet, then you will be punished with certain number of war. Now that particular section is applied because it's specific वो है. एक और एग्जांपल लेते हैं. जो डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के जो केसेस होते हैं उसमें कई बार डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट लगता है, क्योंकि और नॉर्मल जो आपके वायलेंस वाले होते हैं वो कई बार नहीं लगते, क्योंकि यहाँ पे एक स्पेसिफिक लॉ बनाया गया है सिर्फ इसी चीज़ के लिए. कई चीज़ में लगते हैं, कई बार में नहीं लगते हैं, सर्कमस्टांसेस और फैक्ट्स पे डिपेंड करता है. बट यहाँ पे जो सिचुएशन है इसमें सिर्फ ये है, ये समझो कि खाली अगर उनके अगेंस्ट कुछ वायलेंस होता है तो सिर्फ उसके लिए नहीं हो रहा है, सिर्फ ये एक्ट नहीं लगेगा, और भी लगेंगे. चलो ठीक है, बाद में जो भी क्रिटिसिजम्स हैं वो है उसको बाद में डिस्कस करते हैं. अच्छा, तो एक और चीज़ मैं इसमें बताता हूँ कि मैं जब इसमें केस पढ़ रहा था, जो केसेस वगैरह थे, तो इसमें एक केस था लास्ट 2019 का केस है, अरुण कुमार वर्सेस इंस्पेक्टर जनरल. तो इसलिए बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग था. इसमें ये हेल्ड कोर्ट ने, हाई कोर्ट की जजमेंट है, उन्होंने ये बताया कि मैरिज बिटवीन अ मैन and a trans woman. I think it would be a trans woman because the man had transitioned into a woman.
Yeah, so that's
Is
a
valid.
trans woman. Yeah.
It's valid. So there, a trans woman has
Oh.
been, for the purposes of marriage,
Alright.
has been given a status of a woman for the purposes of marriage.
That is
after,
amazing. I
like,
did not even know about
it's
that.
going to. Yes, I will send you the judgment, and I will maybe
I would love
attach
to
it
read
with
that.
this. Attach it with the whole thing. So they have held that a marriage solemnized between a male and a trans woman, both professing Hindu religion, is a valid marriage in terms of Section 5 Hindu Marriage Act, and Registrar of Marriages is bound to register by this name.
And can this be
was
set?
the-
So just like I mean, I don't know if this is a thing in Indian law, but just like US law, that if a judgment has been passed, then that becomes a precedent, right? So future lawyers, if in any cases, can reference back to a judgment that was given previously. So can you do that in India as well? So like if something similar comes up in the future, can the lawyers fight referencing to this judgment for this particular
So
case?
this was a segue for my next topic of discussion, which I had
Oh.
decided.
That's surprising.
So currently we have 4 petitions pending before the Honorable Supreme Court, I think. It is Supreme Court. Wait, I'll just confirm. It's the Supreme Court or it's the High Court?
Let me guess. The one is absolutely same-sex marriage, right?
Yeah. The 4 petition it's the Delhi High Court. It's not the Supreme Court, it's the Delhi High Court. There are 4 petitions pending before the Delhi High Court, which are asking about the same thing. Which is a little bit different, but as Section 5 of the Hindu Marriage Act provides for a marriage between 2 Hindus. So the first one of the petition is arguing before the court that since this particular section of Hindu Marriage Act is gender neutral, it just talks about 2 Hindu persons getting married. It is not mentioning male or female getting married. Therefore, same sex should be included in this particular section.
Yes, and that's
under
what
the
they're moving
ambit.
forward with, yeah.
So this is under Hindu Marriage Act. So for the people who don't know, the marriage in India can be recognized by the law through various acts as per your religion, or if you are marrying inter-religion, or either it is your wish, you can go for the Special Marriage Act, which is kind of a secular act and recognizes all kind of marriages in India. So another petition has been filed, which also asks for recognition of marriage under Special Marriage Act for same-sex marriages. So this petition has been filed by 2 women who had been living together for 8 years. So they had asked for recognition, and
They were also instrumental for fighting for 377 getting repealed. Parts
no.
of it.
These 2 women are different. These 2 women were living together. Those are the advocates. Those are
No, it's the
confusing
same
words.
only. Menka and Arundhati.
They are fighting, but they both are lawyers. These 2 women are different. These 2 women are who were living together for 8 years, who had challenged things. I think I
alright.
might be wrong.
Alright,
I might be
alright.
wrong, but they had challenged because
We
they
can't
had
put
that
this in the-
377 was different.
We can't
but
put this
there
in
is
the
another.
podcast.
No. It can. I can be factually incorrect. होना कोई गलत नहीं है. या वैसे भी वो है.
Yeah, but at
Factually
least we
incorrect.
should be, because we are informing people, so we should be sure about what we are
Petition
talking
के
about.
बारे में I'm correct. Petition talks about Hindu
Just
Marriage Act.
delete this Menka and Arundhati wala part that I just said.
ठीक है. First petition talks about Hindu Marriage Act. Second petition talks about Special Marriage Act. And third petition is talking about the Foreign Marriage Act. So there were 2 guys who got married in US, got their marriage registered here, had their function in New Delhi. But the Indian consulate in New York didn't give them the recognition of marriage and didn't allow them to travel as a married couple or whatnot. Maybe that was the factual issue. But they have moved to High Court for recognition of same-sex marriage under the Foreign Marriage Act also. So these are the 3 or 4 petitions that have been clubbed together, and the Delhi High Court is listing them together. That is the whole scenario, and that's why I use the segue of that judgment here. Now the issue is, it was supposed to be heard on 24th May or 26th May. Now since the COVID pandemic has been raging throughout the country, and the government is busy with the whole thing.
Are you going to talk about what Justice Tushar Mehta said?
Justice Tushar, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta.
Yes,
Justice is for the judge.
Yes, sorry.
Solicitor General, he is the advocate of the advocate of the central government. So yes, I'm going to talk about him. So he talked about people are not dying because of not receiving marriage certificate.
Yeah, that was like.
So let's talk about that. Not just that, but what marriage does to a couple or provides for a couple in this country in general terms, and how can it benefit a same-sex couple. Do you want to start? What do you think a marriage could provide to a same-sex couple?
I mean, actually, surprisingly, again, I was actually going to talk about this particular thing. I was just going to let you finish, and it was kind of a different angle to the conversation, but I think the gist of it, the final realization would be quite similar. I was actually going to ask you if it is a wise decision to directly move towards marriages, or should we first, ask for at least identifying a same-sex couple living in a civil union, right? Because we don't have that right now. If, for example, I am in a relationship with somebody, a male, that means that I am in a same-sex relationship. That is not recognized by law, right? So, for example, if I...
What do you mean recognized by law? If you draw me an example with a heterosexual couple also.
Yeah, so every particular right or law decided for a heterosexual couple does not apply to us, because first, we cannot get a marriage certificate. Second, we cannot even qualify as a couple living in a civil union. So civil unions means applying the same laws that a heterosexual married couple has to this partnership, right?
Yeah, that's what the whole issue is.
Yeah,
that's what the whole issue is.
I don't have any rights over my partner's properties. I cannot be a part of the will. I cannot have the rights over our combined children.
You can be a part of the will. You can be a part of the will.
Yeah, explicitly.
You can't be a part of the inheritance if the will is not there.
Yeah, inheritance, exactly. So I won't be a part of any inheritance. So, for example, in case of a sudden death, an unnatural death, in that case, then the other partner is kind of left feeling as if they did not even exist in the other person's lives, and that is, not a good place to be, right? So I was actually just going to talk about that only.
Yeah, so adding upon that, so one other thing which they have argued is our society is built in such a way that they provide lot of advantages to the married couples. You can have joint bank accounts, you can have lockers, you can have medical insurance, you can have and I would add upon this medical insurance. You can have what else? You can when the pandemic happened and the government was bringing in people from other countries, you were allowed married couples were given preferences or some kind of reference in some or the other way to travel, and a lot of people who were a couple but were not recognized as a married couple were not given the preferences, as the case happened with that couple in United States.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were the Indian consulate didn't agree to them as a married couple for the purposes of traveling for them in India. I think that might be a factual issue, but no worries. Point is, a lot of these people are not allowed. A lot of the advantages they are being taken away from these from these couples who, in some of the other parts of the world, are recognized as a married couple. Let's have it in United States, in many other states, in fact in the entire country. the many states was thing a few years ago. Now it has been few years since their marriage has been recognized in the entire country. The same-sex marriage is recognized in the entire country. So one of the major arguments which they have presented is most of the acts which recognize the marriage are recognize the marriage in the main driving sections as gender neutral terms, like two persons getting together in a relation, in a bond, whatever. They are not specifically mentioning man and a woman. That is the first argument. The second argument is they are deprived of all these benefits, even after living together for multiple number of years and showcasing every characteristic of a couple. They are which a couple has. Every aspect is same.
But they're
So
deprived
one
of
of
the
the argument
privileges.
is, but so it is the law is not equal for both of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So one of the thing. Now, what the Solicitor General talked about struck me to some extent, and I had a word with one of my doctor friends. He told me that when your family member is admitted in the hospital because of COVID, you are not, a lot of times you are not allowed to talk to them or visit them because of the obvious reasons. Plus, doctor is somewhere bound to only tell to the family to some extent about their condition, about the whole thing. In India, in a country like India, where the relationship is not recognized, how do you expect from a person who is living together for multiple number of years, for God some reason, gets one of the partner gets affected from COVID, had to be admitted to the hospital, and the other partner is not able to know anything about them because the family comes first, and the probably hospital staff will probably just laugh them out or laugh him away. Like, I do agree, like they do tell friends about them to some extent, but that doesn't happen in every part of the country. You have to understand that to some extent only the family members are told about the conditions of the conditions of the individuals, and not the friends. They are, I'm not denying that, but as you know, family comes first, and
that also involves a lot of privileges, like visiting hours, handing over
everything, every kind of thing. Plus these being recognized as a spouse, and being recognized as a spouse of a patient, and being recognized as a
friend of the patient.
Friend of a patient is the vast difference between both of them. Secondly, in a lot of conditions, there are a lot of procedures where the family has to sign off for the patient, because the patient is not in the condition of signing it off.
Yes.
In out of the condition, the spouse can, but in this condition, the partner cannot, because there is no recognition. The family can, but in a country like India, wherein a lot of these relationships are just laughed off by the family or not accepted by the family, where even family, what do you say, बेदखल कर देती है आपको अपनी लाइफ से और निकाल देती है. How do you expect the family to come in this situation and allow them on the procedure? How do you expect
So he stands corrected, right? Like when he said that at least people are not dying because of not receiving a marriage certificate, he stands corrected there, because people are actually dying and being handled poorly.
In some conditions you could argue that friends do allow, but
no.
At
least not getting the same privileges also means that a patient who might be in a same-sex relationship or in any kind of another relationship which is not recognized by law is being handled poorly, because they don't have their own family around. The family that they need to have around, they're not having them around. And that is...
Second, definitely.
That is, reason enough. If a patient is not being handled properly, if they're being handled poorly, and if they don't have their own people to support them, then that's actually a huge cry that needs attention, right?
But the thing is, I can also somewhere understand where Mr. Mehta is coming from, because a person can argue that he's a friend. A person can argue that he's just a close relative. A person can argue that he's a close friend and he's somewhere or the other maybe talked it out.
Can I just correct you and ask you to please use gender neutral pronouns? Don't use he to refer to them. Please use they.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
I think I was just referring to an example where
Yeah.
I was talking about
so you've set a scenario.
couple.
Alright, then it's fine.
Huh.
Yeah.
A male couple
Alright.
living together and
same-sex
then
male
gets
couple.
affected by it. That's
Yeah.
what I had in mind, and that's why I used it.
Alright, clear. Now that we've
So
set the
that-
premise. Yeah.
So then the situation is a male couple is living together for past 8 years. One of them gets affected from COVID, has to be shipped to the hospital, gets into ICU, has to be signed off for some procedures. The family has bethuggled from the family, doesn't want to do anything with him. How do you expect in this situation? Like, will he sign off as a friend? I will have to read medical jurisprudence about it, but there is a grey area here. Of course, if it would be a spouse, it would be better for him.
Absolutely.
Plus, they are
if
deprived
not
of getting
better,
medical
easier,
insurance.
definitely, right?
Obviously, it would be better. That's what he also said. It would be better if he would be a spouse rather than being a friend for that particular situation. Plus, they are also deprived of getting medical insurances,
Together,
which are
yeah.
absolutely important in these situations where the cost of getting treated is running in lakhs and lakhs of rupees.
Yeah.
You're not getting the medical insurance as a family. You're getting medical insurance probably as an individual,
yeah.
which is
Which
where
is
the
quite
rate of
costly.
interests are
In India.
higher.
Yeah.
So that is also there. But another aspect where I think Tushar Mehta is also coming from is where he is probably referring to dealing with a larger, solving the problems of a larger group of individuals
Then just Hindus.
as a priority, because
Are we talking about Hindus and non-Hindus, or what larger?
the members of the I'm referring to, like, I may be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong here. The LGBTQ plus community is smaller as to the people who are getting affected by COVID.
Yeah, I mean proportionally, yes. I mean if you are a minority, then the number of
Like,
people
obviously they are coinciding.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about, so they have to look at the society in general rather than dealing to the demands of a specific group. That's why I think where Tushar Mehta might be coming from, because he has been constant tussle bit with the Delhi government also about the oxygen supply with the past month. So I think he's probably dealing with a larger group of people. That's where I think he's also coming from. I can somewhere understand that where he said that this is situation that they are obviously getting. They want to deal with the people who are getting instantly affected. Obviously, the way he submitted the arguments could be corrected.
Yeah.
But it's quote whatever.
Yeah.
For,
I mean, it sounds like a sassy remark, which was completely unnecessary. Like it could have been like mellowed down. It could have been made a little more
Because-
sensitive towards people's
Yeah,
needs and
in a
requirements.
country like
because,
India, I can't not imagine where a situation like this would arise. Not arise.
yeah,
Where a couple might be getting affected because of this. Because it is plausible.
yeah, absolutely.
It is-
possible. I
it
mean,
is quite-
There's
quite
like 1.3
possible.
billion people living in this country. Absolutely, there's
Definitely could be.
there's room for chances. Absolutely, probability is higher than any other part in the world. So it might as well be happening right now.
Now I would like the viewers and the listeners, since we are uploading it on Anchor also, so there is a feature in Anchor where you can send voice messages about what do you think about the our discussions. So, and also the YouTube comments are always there. So do write about this particular case, what we have just discussed, and the particular hearing after reading about it, and what you think, because the collective opinion is very important here, and what the people think about it is also important.
And I think the whole
Here.
what am I trying to say? The whole क्या बोलते हैं उसे?
Case.
The whole अरे इस पूरे का मकसद
Motive.
some better word I'm looking for. Yeah, okay, cool, I'll just use that. The whole motive of putting this podcast out there is to spark a conversation, is to make people talk about stuff like this, which is not usually talked about, and make it okay for people to discuss about things apart from things that are considered societally, socially acceptable. So yes, absolutely, we would love to know your opinions, guys. You.
So should we can this? Because from what I can see, I think 1 घंटे के आसपास का almost हो गया है.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a very invigorating conversation, and I got to know about so much more, Rishi. I mean, legally, from legal perspective, I definitely enjoyed this conversation.
And I would like to add, I might be wrong at some places. Be completely free to correct me wherever. I'm completely open to any kind of corrections.
Same, absolutely. Me too. Yeah, and I also
any kind of
and I also just want to end by saying that, you know, it's such a vast topic. It's exactly as I mentioned. It's a spectrum, and a spectrum can never be fully explained ever. You know, so. We do try to fit ourselves into boxes. We do try to label ourselves, and labels can be really powerful sometimes. People try to avoid labels. There are people who want to explicitly put labels on stuff because it helps them. So that's completely a personal choice. But again, this topic is so wide that, you know, sometimes it becomes, even when we talk about it in larger perspective, it still somehow ends up being really restrictive, and that's not our motive. If you ever feel like that, because we talked about only a very specific terms related to the queer community, that's actually not our motive at all. That's quite the opposite of what we're trying to do here. We just want to make everybody feel seen and everybody feel accepted. So go on, shoot your comments, send us voice messages, tell us what you think about this, and we would love to know your opinions.
Yes. We can even feature those messages on our podcast.
Absolutely.
If you send them, we will definitely feature them. And I think I wanted to add something also. Wait, I forgot maybe. Anyway, so can kare?
Yes, let's meet in the next episode and talk about more queer stuff.
Yes, definitely. चलो, I really enjoyed this conversation also. मेरे को भी बहुत मजा आया, बहुत कुछ नए पर्सपेक्टिव मिले, बहुत कुछ नया सीखने को मिला.
Yes.
So, bye.
All right.